to all beings, a religion which orders its followers to respect and protect the followers of all religions, and in particular the people of the book, the Christians and the Jews. I would like to highlight the clear command of Almighty Allah to be kind to disbelievers who don't fight on basis of religion. Almighty Allah says in the Holy Quran, in Surah Al-Mumtahina, chapter 60, verse 8, لا ينهاكم الله عن الذين لم يقاتلوكم في الدين ولم يخرجوكم من دياركم أن تبروهم وتقسطوا إليهم إن الله يحب المقسطين. Allah does not forbid you from dealing kindly with those who do not fight against you on account of religion, nor drive you out of your homes, and from being gentle with them, and also from dealing justly and being fair with them. Verily, Allah loves those who deal with equity and justice. In the recent wave of the horrific hostilities in Palestine, civilians have experienced the most suffering through massive destruction and terrific ethnic cleansing due to the indiscriminate use of military force and the disproportionate heavy-handed response by the Israelis. At least 254 Palestinians, including 66 children, were killed. The Gaza Ministry of Health reported that more than 1,900 Palestinians were injured. At least 72,000 Palestinians were displaced. Israel conducted 1,500 air, land, and sea strikes on the Strip. Gaza has been under a suffocating blockade for almost 15 years, which already undermines the delivery of healthcare. According to the SNP Member of Parliament, Dr. Philippa Whitford, at least 14 government hospitals and clinics have been bombed, including the Al-Rimal Healthcare Center, the largest primary health clinic in Gaza, which houses the lab responsible for the COVID-19 tests, along with those clinics run by the international charity. Israel has a long record of unlawfully killing and injuring thousands of civilians, displacing tens of thousands of them, and destroying homes, businesses, and infrastructure. These violations include war crimes and crimes against humanity. As a very brave and highly appreciated motion by the Irish Parliament, it has recently passed a motion describing Israeli settlements and other policies in the West Bank as de facto annexation, some of the strongest language ever offered by an EU nation on this critical issue. The motion passed last Wednesday condemned the recent and ongoing forced displacement of Palestinian communities in the occupied Palestinian territories. We encourage the UK government to take a similar motion in order to denounce the ongoing illegal actions by the Israeli government and to ensure a long-term yet just solution for both the Palestinians and the Israelis. The UK must publicly denounce war crimes and other serious violations, including illegal settlement expansion, the blockade of Gaza, and displacing of innocent civilian Palestinians such as those in Sheikh Jarrah. I add my voice to the voice of the Labour Member of Parliament, Mr. Richard Berger, who recently spoke in the House of Commons, and I did quote some of his statements. How many more?
This is a conflict of occupiers and occupied. This is a war of oppressors and oppressed. Again and again, the State of Israel has taken the stance of a bully and a war criminal. The claim of self-defense does not hold so well when you are standing on land taken by force.
I think this is a sad indictment on Europeans. The only solution to racist discrimination was to send them elsewhere? What's that mean for people facing racial discrimination these days? What? The solution is to find somewhere where they can live by themselves? No, not in my name. Not in my name. Surely the solution to any racial oppression should be to use any means to challenge discrimination, promote tolerance, respect, and more importantly, to celebrate the richness of our diversity. Look at today. Isn't this fantastic? people from all different ethnicities, people from different faiths coming together to stand in solidarity with oppressed people. That is the solution to racism, not the creation of reservations, effectively. Myth number 5. This is one that was told to me by my dad, incidentally, when I was growing up. Probably 1976, question. Yeah. Got around to argue back. A land without people for a people without land. Who's heard that before? Yeah? So this is a myth that was perpetuated. It's that when the Jewish settlers fleeing anti-Semitic Europe arrived, that they arrived to land that wasn't occupied. It's plainly and totally a lie. 700,000 Palestinians were displaced in 1948 as a result of the Nakba. That's Arabic for catastrophe. 700,000 people who, incidentally, the descendants of, now we estimate something in the region of 6 million Palestinians, many thousands of which have no status in terms of state. They have no nationality. There are people living here in Darlington today who are third generation refugees from Palestine with no nationality. I told this to our MP. He was shocked. He'd never understood it. He didn't know that. Okay, myth number 6. The Jews were there before the Palestinians. I love this one. So all I'm going to say about this is it's a little bit like Gallic people, like Matthew's good wife, Kat. Gallic people were in the British Isles before the Anglo-Saxons. So not completely. The Palestinian resistance, Fatah, was predominantly a secular organisation. This is not all about religion. Of course, there are deeply significant and important religious sites, including the Al-Aqsa Mosque, the third most holy site in Islam. And it is horrific to see pictures of the Israeli Defense Force shooting people with rubber-coated steel bullets on the holy month of Ramadan. It's deeply shocking, and it's perfectly understandable why people will fight back in that situation. Not that I'm in any way condoning the rockets. Myth number 8. It's anti-Semitic to criticise Israel. That is a deep, deep myth. There are millions of Jews across the world who do not support Israel's Zionist ambitions. They do not support it. There are Israelis who do not support the settlements. Okay? It's perfectly legitimate to criticise the state of Israel. There's a sign somewhere, Israel is a racist state. That would probably fall foul of the IHRA definition of anti-Semitism, but I see no reason why we should not criticise a state that is flouting international law in the way in which Matthew has previously described. Myth number 9. This is a bit controversial, this one. The two-state solution. Why do I say that's the myth? Well, have you looked at a map recently? Okay? Is there anything left of the West Bank? Is there anything left of it? So, how can there possibly be a viable two-state solution? I mention this because both Jenny Chapman, when she was MP, and Peter Gibson have both replied to my letter saying that they support a two-state solution. Well, it is naive in the extreme. Peter Gibson should know better. He has visited there, courtesy of Conservative Friends of Israel, I have to say, on an all-expenses trip paid. In fact, I've heard recently he's been there twice. I don't know when the second occasion was. Probably recently. Sajna would like a ticket, and Matthew wouldn't mind going either. There are plenty of ways of visiting Palestine, but not for Palestinians. Indeed, many Arabs would not be permitted to visit Israel. Okay? Appalling. I might say more than that in a minute if I've still got time. Okay, just in terms of the two-state solution, what about the Arabs living as second-class citizens in increasingly apartheid Israel? Are you saying that they should be pushed displaced yet again and forced into whatever artificial boundaries are created. It does not make sense. What about those living in refugee camps in Gaza? Are they expected to stay in one of the most overcrowded, open-air prisons in the world? No. We need a solution. We need a solution that respects the rights of Palestinians wherever they are, including the diaspora, the 6 million people that are across the rest of the world. Myth number 10. I've just called this both sides should. Okay? This is a myth. Both sides should. What do I mean? Well, the media especially seems to give the impression that it's an equal conflict. They are both as bad as each other. Both sides should sit down. Both sides should cease fire. Both sides should short it out. As soon as someone looks at the map that I've mentioned, and as soon as someone looks at the disparity in the numbers of people who have been killed, you realise that this is not a case of both sides should. There is one state that is overpowerful. They hold the responsibility. Myth number 11, you'll be pleased, this is the last one. Myth number 11 is nothing can be done about it and we should leave them to it. Of course there are things that can be done. The government could properly implement its own export guidelines, which would result in a de facto embargo on arms exports to Israel. The government could stop opposing the International Criminal Court's investigation. Boris Johnson, back in April, wrote to Conservative Friends of Israel saying that he saw no jurisdiction for the International Criminal Court in Israel-Palestine. What has he got to fear? What is he worried that they will uncover? They could support the international pressure. Hats off to Ireland for recognising that it's been annexation, de facto annexation in the West Bank. They could bring pressure for a South African-style peace and reconciliation process, including compensation for past wrongs, the right for return, and justice and equal treatment for all Palestinians. Listen, friends, there is hope. The ICC decision is monumental. The recent decision by Ireland is also fantastic. The growing recognition by political influential Jews in America, like the liberal Zionist Peter Weinhardt, who has abandoned the charade of the two-state solution and is looking for a just solution based on equal treatment. They're all heartening developments. Also, look at the number of people who've turned out today. Listen, give yourselves a cheer. The last demonstration we had for Palestine at the Market Cross, maybe that was our mistake, there were 5 people there. There must be, what, 200 people here today?
Inshallah.
What I want to do, though, is thank the young people who came together to organise this demonstration. In fact, can they come up?
Palestine! Palestine! Palestine!
I would just like to say I'm actually going to introduce our special guest.